Thank you, Paul. I'd like to talk to a different kind of learning environment, a more common tool that we use, and that is the book. It's not actually a next generation learning environment I'm talking about. It's more of this generation because it can happen very soon. First, problems for Hong Kong. Problems of traditional textbooks, the kind of books that are listed on a reading list by lecturers, by schools, teachers, and so on for students. What are the problems that we have? There's been a lot of debate about the prices, costs of textbooks in Hong Kong. People said that textbooks prices are too high, far too high. Right? Why does it cost $200 a book? In the US, actually, it's $200 a book. Why does it cost so very much? Well, there are many reasons. High price for the paper, printing costs, and so forth and so forth. But a major reason, the publisher said, is because the books are bundled with supplementary materials for the teachers, worksheets, quizzes, multimedia materials, and so forth, provided to the teachers. And of course, that begs the question of why is it that when materials are provided to the teachers, then students, parents have to pay for the books? All right. Another problem I find is that students, well, they have the printed books, that's all right, but to print the printed books, they have the PDF file, the file before they print the book. And they're very good tools for student learning, but interestingly, not every book provides students with the e-version. And just with the e-version, students can go to dictionary, a text-to-speech, in which case there's a reader, there's a speaker, there's a voice, a narration for students, and so forth. But students are not provided with those. Another thing is that there's just one book for all students. So some teachers will find it that the books might not be appropriate for the school because that's too advanced for them. They have to provide supplementary materials and so forth. So they need to provide their own updates. And some teachers said, I prepare my own textbook, and in such cases, their book that they prepare cannot be shared among colleagues of other universities or schools. A solution, we think, which can solve the problem, and that is we can provide open textbooks. What are open textbooks? Open textbooks are textbooks usually in the e-version, but of course they can be printed through printers to the printed textbooks. Those are books, open textbooks are a subset of open educational resources. And in such cases, the owner or the author of the textbook owns and retains the copyright. But through various licenses, which will be available very easily, the content is allowed to be used freely by everybody. There are other licenses as well. So these are the Creative Commons licenses. There are other licenses which allow them to be modified. The general thing is they allow for redistribution, but there are also licenses which allow teachers, users to modify, and some would prohibit them for commercial use, but some would not like to be modified. But in general, they can be used by others freely, and that is the gist of open textbook. We will see if we use open textbook, then they are of course less expensive for users because they only pay for the printing cost. When you get a printed book, you get the e-version free. So when you buy one, you get one free of charge. Students and teachers can use, reuse, copy, paste, redistribute, and they can be associated. They can associate them with other open learning materials as well. And of course, teachers can modify the books to fit their own use. This is just a comparison of, how can I zoom in? All right. right?
Click on, just click on
Okay.
sorry, not on the screen.
Somehow.
Okay.
Never mind. If we compare the traditional textbook with the open textbooks, then there are a number of advantages. So that's about it. And I want to go back to.
Sorry, no, it's on.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So a comparison of the traditional textbook and open textbook. In traditional textbook, the authors are commissioned to write the textbook, and the publishers print it. But in the open textbook system, we invite experienced teachers to do the work. Some will be paid, others, well, will not, and so on. And authors and teachers in traditional textbooks are different people, but in the open textbook situation, they can be the same person. Yes, thank you. And then for traditional books, book has to be printed as a whole book. In open textbooks, you can print chapters and so on as you like. Students have to buy the whole printed book in the traditional situation, but in an open textbook situation, they can buy parts of it. Traditional textbooks would be afraid of their books being copied, but in open textbooks, no, they welcome people copying the books. So that is the general situation. We compare and we say this is the advantage. Oh, sorry about that. Now these are, so this is actually not our invention. Actually, people around the world are doing it. I mean, in California, in Florida, in places where they think all students should not be left out of the system. I've just said, in the US, buying one textbook can cost $200 US, and that's quite a big sum of money to buy a whole set of textbooks. In such cases, they provide platform so that such textbooks are there. And I've got here quite a few sites for the textbooks. Connection is a famous one. CK12 will be this primary and secondary school textbooks. Fredwell Knowledge is interesting. It's a commercial organization, but they provide free textbooks, e-versions. If you want to have the printed copy, you have to pay for a smaller sum of money. Another project is the Open College Open Textbook Project. Let's go to one of those, like this one. College Open Textbook, where we can have a list of all the books of all sorts of categories. Like, for example, they have books by categories. This is community college, university level, and primary, secondary level textbooks. Well, we can go and take a look at, for example, maths and you can see this the list of the textbooks available, and if you want, for example, one on calculus, this is the book. But the nice thing about it is they've made arrangements for printers so that the book can be printed on demand, on request, not demand, on request. And the price of such textbooks usually about 20%, 30% of the whole book. And if you get one of those books, you can have an e-version associated with it as well. So, get away from it. So, thank you. Okay, and I was through in 1 minute. So this is the situation for examples. Now, what we are proposing is that why don't we set up such a system? So there's a proposal on setting up an open textbook system, and in the system, we think those elements are important. All right. First is a platform where all these books will be made available. They can be books for primary, secondary schools, community colleges, in our case, the continuing education arm, EGEN program, universities. Right. It can be a platform encompassing all these textbooks appropriate for use for Hong Kong schools. universities. So in the platform, the second thing is we provide such textbooks. And at the university level, there are quite a few out there, a few hundred, a few thousand over there. So we can use those textbooks. But for primary and secondary schools, probably we have to develop some, and that might take some time. So if some funding is coming through, I don't know, the Ligashings of the world, we can have such textbooks there in 1 year or two's time. Now, an important feature of such a system is quality. Because a lot of people say when things are free, they're no good, right? It's not such a case. If we establish a quality assurance system, then, and if we go through the education bureaus, sorry about that, the system, then we can put it on the recommended book list, and that is as good quality as others. And the last thing is, people need to know how to use those things. Teachers need to know how to make changes to the textbooks, and so forth. And so there must be a component whereby teachers can work together and train and so forth. And so that is also an important feature of the system we believe. And it's just an idea, and maybe it's not, no need to have the next generation to make it to fruition. So we think we can have it built in a year, 2 years' time. Thank you.